How's it going, YouTube? It's Panda time. In this video I'm bringing you guys a deck profile for Sakuyamon. I like Sakuyamon quite a bit. In EX2 the deck was just missing so much, but now that we have BT10 there's a whole new line and it makes the deck infinitely better. That said, I don't know if Sakuya is still good enough to go up against the top meta decks, but it's definitely a fun and playable deck that you can have, a good time with. And I'm curious to see in the future if we'll get more Sakuya support. This is my build and I hope you guys like it. For babies, we have 1 Upamon to have a 5th baby, and then 4 Biximon. It's pretty simple, you definitely want the 4 Biximon. If you don't want to run the 5th baby, just don't. Biximon is too good, the card draw is unreal. For rookies, as you'll see, a lot of this deck kind of built itself, and you'll see what I mean by that. So we're going to have all the Renamons, right? So we have 4 Renamons from the X2, it's still very good, with a good on play to Surge and a good inheritable. We have 4 of the new Renamon, which again, same thing, good on play, good inheritable, your named Renamon, which is important. Beyond that, I think the best rookie for the Sakuya deck is the Patamon. Our deck naturally has so much DP reduction that you end up proccing the Patamon inheritable pretty good, and it's a pretty strong effect, right? Getting 1 extra memory can compound into explosive plays. I do think Patamon is the other next best rookie, and obviously as you see, we're gonna play the full line as much as we can. So that's it for the rookies, 12 rookies, bunch of Renamons, they're kinda nice. Now for the champions, we're playing once again 4 of the old Kiwimon. Kiwimon is still solid, it lets you Digivolve and search for plugins. To be honest though, a lot of times you're playing this Digivolving in the back and you're not gonna get the search, and that is okay. It also has a good inheritable on his name Kiwimon, so we definitely need to run it as a 4 of. We have 4 of the new Kiwimon. The new Kiwimon is pretty solid. While it does not have an inheritable, the effects are really good, right? So it has 2 different effects, both very relevant. One, you can discard a plugin to draw 2, and if you've played Sakuya, you know why this is so good, because oftentimes you're stuck with these plugins in your hand that are just dead cards and you can't play them. So being able to disc them to draw 2 is really powerful. Essentially, if you have rookie and you are Digivolving into Kiwimon, you can pick the plugin and essentially run 3 cards, right? Especially good if you're playing Digivolving off of a Renamon that has already given you a search, right? So as you see, the deck needs its pieces, but we also have so much card draw. Of course, also a Kiwimon, which is important. For the other champions, we have 2 Judge Pitamons. Pitamon is kind of nice because of the 1-cost Digivolution. We need to turn around into our level 6. This is one of those decks that doesn't really function without its level 6s. So being able to have a cheap Digivolution is good, especially when you are Digivolving in the back. It's good to avoid being memory choked, like when you're set to 1. You let the Pitamon go to 0 and then still spend the 3, right? The fact that it's a blocker is not too relevant, but sometimes it is nice. And then we also have 1 hybrid to round out the champions. We play 4 yellow tamers, and having the hybrid to close out the game is very nice. Plus there's room because the other Kiwimon is pretty much unplayable, and with 8 Kiwimons I think we're good there. So it's a pretty solid champion lineup. I think this is definitely the way to go. Now for the ultimates, you're gonna see it's pretty basic. We're just running Talmon, it's really that simple. So we have 4 of the old Talmon. This guy's still an absolute beast. I'm trying to pick up the Tamer Party promo Talmons, but I've not seen them anywhere, so hopefully I can pick this up soon. So when Digivolving, you get to play Recap for free. It's absolutely massive. You're essentially gaining 4 free memory when Digivolution, which is insane. It also is a Talmon and it has a good inheritable, so definitely always running 4 of. Now the new Talmon, some people might not be running it as a 4 of, but I am. I think it's very, very strong. And again, the fact that his name is a Talmon goes such a long way. The art is nice as well. So when Digivolving, you can play a plugin for free, and I believe this one also lets you ignore the color requirement. So sometimes you're in a position where you haven't set up your recas, you can't play your plugins because you don't have tamers, and it's very awkward. But you can essentially, go into the Talmon, Digivolve it, play a plugin, and get essentially a free Digivolution, right? So it can essentially go from 4 to 6 for only 3, which is very, very powerful. And we're not running any other level 5s. A, there's no room, and B, again, we just want to max out on the name of the line. So having access to 8 Talmons, I think, makes the deck infinitely better. In the past, we ran Rise Greymons, Andromons, and those cards are okay. And if you hate this Talmon and you want to, substitute for one of those or maybe 2, I think that would be acceptable. But I do like the new Talmon, so we are running it as a 4 and 4. Now for the 6s, we're running 4 of the new Sakuyamon. The card is still way too good, right? having the unsuspend on Digivolution is very powerful. You can pick up your plugins, which makes it, you know, the QB one is really good because if you play the QB to discard the plugin, you can pick it back up. You can pick it up later, so it doesn't feel bad. And then Sakuya has amazing board clear potential. I feel like Sakuya is one of those cards, and to an extent, one of those decks where it's like, it's good depending on what people are playing, what the meta is like, right? If people have boards, Sakuya can clear boards, right? For example, I've played against Jesmon where they have a Jesmon and they summon 15 sisters for free, and Sakuya can clean those decks up, right? On the other hand, against decks that just hide in the back, they don't play on the board and they come out to it to KU, like Sakuya is kind of bad because you don't get to interact with their board, and that's the big strength of Sakuya, right, is being able to clear the board. But obviously the restand is nice and we can also go aggressive with her. So I still think 4 Sakuya is the way to go. Now we are playing Maid mode. I do have one non-altar Maid mode, I know, embarrassing. But we are playing 3 Maid modes. I think that's a good ratio that I like. You know, 7 level 6s is good enough for me. And while Maid mode is really, really powerful, I think that the original Sakuya is still the way to go. So we're playing 4 and 3 of. The Maid mode is really cool though. When Digivolving, you can play a plugin for free. And then that plugin is going to go to the topper security, giving you some recovery and a guaranteed good security effect, which is pretty powerful. Sakuya mode, Maid mode is also, you know, a Sakuyamon, and I know that there's other yellow decks that are going to play this card because it's just so good, but here in this deck, we can take full advantage of her. If you guys don't know, she also has another effect that's when attacking, she can Digivolve into a Sakuyamon for 1. So you can do really cool plays where you can like have a Sakuyamon, Digivolve Sakuya into the Maid mode for 2, get the free plugin, and then Sakuya Maid mode can attack and then Digivolve into another Sakuyamon, getting the restand, getting the effect again. So there's some really cool synergy there you can do specifically in this deck, you know, with the Sakuyas. And obviously it works with our full line, lets us play our plugins for free, lets you recover. It's really, really good. I think, you know, 3 Maid mode is the way to go. And that's it for level 6s. Again, a deck where we're not playing level 7s because it just doesn't seem like they're really needed. There's no level 7 that I would like really, really want. For Tamers, we have 4 Rikas. I wouldn't play any less, you know, Rika does so much for this deck, it's insane. So the question is, would you play other Tamers? And I've seen people play like TK and Kari or other things like that. There are certainly other yellow Tamers you can play that are fairly strong, but the room is very tight in the deck because you have to run the plugins and there's just not a lot of space. I like just having 4 Rika. You have searches for it with the Renamons. Hopefully you pick it up, hopefully you can play it for free, maybe you get one in security. Rika is also one of those tamers where if you have multiple of them, it's actually a very good thing, right? Like the first Rika gets your game plan online, but having multiple Rika means you're playing more free plugins and getting more plugins back with the Sakuya. So having multiples is fine. 4 Rika seems fine, and I don't run any other tamers. We have 1 yellow memory boost. The yellow memory boost is nice because it's an option that costs 2 or more. So it procs your Biximon and all your inheritables. It's really, really good. Yeah, again, memory boost is insane in every deck. It's even better in this deck. So you might be asking, well, why am I only playing 1? And again, the reality is that the deck space is very tight because we have to run so many plugins. So I could only afford room for 1. Beyond that, we have our plugin lineup. So I'm playing 3 green plugins, 2 defensive plugins, and 1 blue, 1 red. I've messed around with ratios a lot ever since EX2, and this is what I'm most happy with. In the past, you would always run like 4 green ones, but the defense plugin is very, very powerful, and I think that, you know, it's justified running it as a 2-off. And while the green plugin is insane, it does end up being a bit bricky sometimes. And now that we have the Q one that can pick it up, I feel like I'm confident running it as a 3-off as a good amount, you know. Lets you Digivolve for free, which is very powerful. So let's talk about the new plugin. So it costs 5, which is very expensive, but you're aiming to play this for free. You can play this for free with the Rika or with the Maid mode. So it gives one of your Digimon reboot blocker, and it can be destroyed by card effects, making it a pretty good defensive tool. And it helps out a lot because that's something that this deck previously did not have. As you'll see, we don't have any room for security bombs, like we can't afford to play Wyverns. You know, Sunrise Buster is an option as well, but again, it's a huge package, right? Like obviously, Maid mode Sunrise is pretty powerful, but like to make Sunrise Buster work, you'd have to run red, yellow Tamers, Sunrise Buster, and there's just no room for that. I don't see how you could run it unless you just cut out so many other cards. So defensive plugin is nice. Again, it gives us a good defensive tool, especially with the Maid mode, right? You go into Maid mode, you play this for free, then you recover it. You essentially, recover one, you get a blocker with reboot, and then when it gets checked, you get another Digimon, and this goes to your hand, right? So it's a very, very powerful effect for sure. It is a plugin, can also be played with Rika, and works with all the other plugin stuff. Beyond that, I do like one blue and one red plugin. I recently learned the blue plugin makes you unblockable, which is kind of nice. It's sometimes good when you have to swing with, say, your Cubimon or your Tamon to proc your effects. Letting them survive for the jamming is relevant. Security, it's okay, get some card draw. And again, because we could cycle and recycle these, just having it as a one-off so you have access to it in the game is good, which is what I'll say about the red plugin. Secure Attack +1 is a very, very powerful effect, and the fact that we could give this to a Digimon that can initially restand itself with the Sakuyamon effect is very powerful. The red plugin lets you close out games, and it gives your deck that extra punch that is definitely needed. If you wanted to run more blue or more red, again, I feel like it gets clunky, there's just no room. So these are the ratios that have worked for me. I do like them quite a bit. We're still playing a high amount of plugin, right? It's an extra 7 cards we have to fit in, which again is why we don't have room for like level 7s or other options or more tamers, because like you have to run a plugin package, right? This is what our deck is all about. That said though, overall, I think that having a whole new line, the new Renamon, new Cubimon, new Tamon is really good. Maid mode is a very, very powerful Digimon, and we still love the original Sakuyamon. She always was great. She just didn't get to shine that much because the deck was lacking so much in the past. But this is my list, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll definitely be playing it quite a bit, so expect some gameplay videos of it up in the channel. Sakuyamon is definitely one of my favorite Digimon, and I'm very, very happy with this deck. I don't know if it's going to get more support in the future, but for now I think this is pretty good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching.